Hi, my name is Nicole Wisnett, and this is my injury prevention project for wrestling. The athlete that I chose for this project is Sydney Brookholm, who is a sophomore at SDHS and is on the wrestling team and has been on the wrestling team for many prior years. She had surgery about 7 months ago because she had really loose rotator cuff rotator cuff. So there were multiple parts to this surgery that she had, including her shoulder complex, and she had multiple shoulder dislocations, which happened in the glenohumeral joint. And basically it's just when the bone comes out of the shoulder joint, and multiple dislocations tend to lead to really loose rotator cuff muscles, and that can really affect her performance in wrestling and other daily activities. She also had a torn labrum, and she had torn her labrum entirely from the back to the front. There are partial labrum tears, but in her case, she had an entire labrum tear, which includes a lot more rehab and surgery and just a lot more steps added to making it back to how it was. Now, the steps of progress that I'm going to be following here is first, we're going to be recording a baseline and implementing a program that I'm making for her injury prevention on her shoulders. And second, we're going to be having the implemented program done about 1 to 2 times a day. First time a day, usually with me, we'll do it in the morning together to make sure she's really getting it done right. And the second time, she'll be doing on her own and really seeing the improvement through our own version of the workout. The third step is we're going to implement VR and the importance of it for athletes. Now, unfortunately, I couldn't implement the VR fully with her and we couldn't fully do it together, but I did have her try it a little bit on her own, and I did implement the importance of it for her and what it could really do for her wrestling meets. And the fourth step is record final baseline and how she feels after the program, and really how it improved confidence or how maybe it didn't improve confidence, but really just showing the comparison of how she felt before and after. So the baseline that I got was the geometer of shoulder extension and flexion. Her flexion, which normally should be around 180 degrees, started at 178 degrees for her uninjured arm and 174 degrees for her injured arm. And for extension, it started at 48 degrees for her injured arm and 55 degrees for uninjured arm. Normally, you want to get about 60 degrees. The photos did get a little messed up in between. I'm not exactly sure how, but these were the correct measurements that I got for her. So the program that we have two programs. We have workout A, a seated scapular retraction, internal rotation with resistance, external rotation with resistance, and truck drivers with weight. All of these are 3 sets of 12 reps just to keep it consistent, so we're not really switching it up a lot. And that's like a warm up for workout B, because workout B is really our strengthening part. We have chest press on bench with kettlebells. We have overhead carry with kettlebells, crisscross shoulders, and scat punches with kettlebells. All 2 sets of 8 reps, except for the overhead carry because we had to measure it by steps. So basically, we did this 2 sets of 8 because we really wanted to work on working her muscles, but not overworking them to where they'd get possibly damaged. So we want to get progress, but not um, injury. So what we had her start with was a seated scapular retraction, 3 sets of 12 reps, like I had mentioned earlier. And we also had her do internal and external rotation. Here she's working on external rotation, and she's going to be doing the same amount, 3 sets of 12 reps. Now I'm just going to skip ahead really quick because they're internal and external both in the same video, so we don't need to watch the entire thing. It's about a minute long. But here you can see she's working on her internal rotation, really targeting those muscles in here like the infraspinatus. And then over here, we had her do truck drivers with a 10-pound weight, barbell weight. And again, same as everything else. And here you can just see her working on the rotation of her shoulders and improving that muscle laxity. Now, working on to the second part, which is workout B, we have her start with chest press with kettlebell. So it's typically like a normal bench press, but instead of the bench barbell, we have her use kettlebells just because it's better on the shoulder joint. It's a little easier for it to work with, and it's good. It's better for targeting those muscles right in there, like the supraspinatus, infraspinatus, subscapularis, and the teres minor. I know those aren't exactly in order, but those are the muscles that she's trying to solely concentrate on. And so we'll also go over to the kettlebell overhead carry. And here she is doing two sets of 8 reps. All of them are about the same for that one. Sorry, 2 sets of 20 steps. My bad. You can see her going back right there. But here, we're going to have her work on the crisscross shoulders. These have many different names, but I just given it the most self-explanatory name, crisscross shoulders, because can't really go wrong with it. Um, but this is not also helping her shoulder, but it's also helping her core. So she's really getting the full upper body extremity workout there. And then here we have her do scat punches, and she did further use kettlebells, but in this one, she didn't also. Ignore that. But she did further use kettlebells, but in this one she didn't because this was the first part of the workout and we're just really seeing where her shoulder was feeling. Now, I want to go into how VR really helps. And so, how VR can really help athletes is usually what you can do. It doesn't even have to be the full VR setup system. You can honestly just have her watch, or not her, more specifically, an athlete. You can have an athlete just watch a video of a POV, like a first person POV of the sport they're doing, and then have them practice whatever that they were practicing in the video. Because this can really help the reaction time, their athletic performance, spatial awareness, and better anticipation for what the opponent might do. And it really sets them up to see where their competition is, and it really sets them up to test themselves and test their limits because you're stimulating real life training, and that's really important when you're practicing for something. Is as if you're practicing with your partner, but you're actually practicing with an opponent in real life. It also helps break psychological barriers of what you think you can and can't do as an athlete. You know, you really want to push down those limits of, oh, I can't do this because I hurt my shoulder. Like for Sydney's case, maybe she's really worried about taking a shot because she's really worried about what could happen to her shoulder. But if she does use VR training, like in the future when we work on the program together still, we can use VR training to really help break down those psychological barriers of maybe not having as much confidence. And it also improves cognitive thinking because it can really get them thinking past what their opponent may or might do. It can really get them thinking past to every situation possible and how what their moves really affect how the opponent moves. Now, leading into that, we have our final baseline. And so for extension, we had her at uninjured 60 degrees, which is exactly where she's supposed to be. 60 degrees is typically what we want to see. Now, for her injured arm, she hit 55 degrees, which is amazing because that was quite a degree differential. And that means the injury prevention program had worked how we'd wanted it to work. And then we have flexion for her injured side. We have 182, which is past 180, so that is amazing. And then for the uninjured arm, we hit 185 because, as you can see, she is curving her back a little bit, so that affects it a tiny bit, but it is past definitely what it would be if she had her arm straight up with correct posture. Now, in conclusion, we can really tell that the athlete improved in confidence and ability. And I did have her do a couple practice shots. I unfortunately did not get them on camera, but she definitely seemed like she was a lot more confident in her ability in the shots. And so that's really what we want to see. And we can also take away that VR can enhance perceptual cognitive processes that are critical for her success or for anybody's success at any athlete. It can really enhance what they really need to see and look past in order to gain success in whatever sport they're trying to do. And her extension improved by 7 degrees, while her flexion improved by 8 degrees, showing massive improvement in what her shoulder rotator cuff muscle laxity is and was. So I'm really happy to see that the injury prevention that I implemented on her really did help her confidence and ability, as well as her extension and flexion. For that's what we were aiming for. Um, Thank you so much for listening to my project. I hope you have a good day.